Hello, 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 check 1, 2, hello. Hello, 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 check, hello, hello, 1, 2, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.
दुपट्टे पर ठीक है, ऐसे भी ये शिफ्ट तो करिएगा ही। Yeah, let's start. Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome for today's session. I welcome all of you first and foremost to think of devoting your precious time behind getting oriented to this optional. I understand that all of you are fairly curious to know. Good afternoon, all the online students like Riaz and Rajiv and all the others. So I understand that all of you are fairly curious to know more about sociology. It's more like an inquiry related to an optional subject, which is going to be a part of your long-term journey, because it's not a journey associated with, I would say, a few months. It is something which is going to stay with you for at least 1.5 years. Because though optional is written in mains, but the impact is observed in the interview quite substantially. I mean, especially when the interview board sees that your optional subject is sociology, they have a tendency to raise certain questions associated with social relevance. So this is not something which is only associated with your mains, it is, or just the optional paper. It will have its impact like quite substantially. So when we are discussing about this, and as we are going ahead with this optional open session, first and foremost, let me just give you an overview associated with the relevance of this subject with the wholesome preparation of your like civil services exam. So when we discuss about first and foremost its relevance in terms of general studies, in GS, well, in prelims, not much. In prelims, it can help you just to update you certain insights related to certain schemes and policies. That's it, but nothing more than that. Let me be honest. Maybe something associated with urbanization and population, which will be in news. But the moment the game comes or it shifts to the component of mains, we all can see that in the component of mains, first and foremost, it will help you with the dimension of GS paper 1. In GS paper 1, it's going to help you with the component of a bit of history. Because in history, when we are talking about French Revolution, when we speak of Industrial Revolution, when we speak of the period of Enlightenment, okay, so, and that like expression, it will be helping you to build the basics, to get a wholesome overview associated with it. Other than that, it can also help you in the component of Indian society and social justice. So, Indian society in paper 1, this is something which I can connect with. Maybe certain insights will also help you to give a wholesome clarity about human geography. As I said, like population and urbanization, these are two topics which go in sharing with human geography as well. They are a part of the Indian society syllabus, but also a part of human geography. So we all can like connect it with that subsegment. Other than that, you can see it in GS paper 2. In paper 2, it will help you to substantiate your component of social justice and governance, like few topics. When I say governance, like topics like pressure groups, which is there in governance, NGOs, which is there in governance, that is something which gets covered here as well in the topic of political, like society and politics, or like we can, when we are reflecting it with like paper 1, then it is the theoretical aspect. Paper 2 is the application in terms of the Indian relevance, and certain components can definitely make a mark in terms of governance. Okay. So, good afternoon, Bilaspur and Shimla and Dehradun Center, Itanagar and Kochi and Muatupura and Imphal and Shimla, all of you, welcome. So, as we are further substantiating this component in GS paper 3, it will help you in economy with respect to like the social relevance in terms of agriculture. So agriculture, because in sociology you have rural agrarian social structure. So under rural agrarian social structure and transformation, so you will be covering certain substantial components which will help you to build your insights related to economy as well. It will help you to understand the dynamics of human development. Human development index is in economy, so it will help you to understand human development as well. So this is something associated with your paper 3. In paper 4, very briefly, I'll say that in paper 4, when you are trying to understand how attitude formation takes place, what is the role of society, or when you speak of like, you know, inculcation of values. So in the component of inculcation of values, there are 3 subsegments. One is family. The second one is associated with the component of educational institutions. And the third one is associated with the dimension of society. So this is something which will be helpful. Again, once in a while, for example, when I'll be discussing about in the chapter of politics and society, when I'll be discussing about different ideologies existing in India, there all of you will get an insight related to the attitude formation, so political attitudes in India. So just a glimpse of, like, let's say, political attitudes will also get covered over here. Anyway, if you don't understand society, in general parlance, if I speak of it, If you don't understand society, can you really be a good IAS officer? Can you really govern people well when you don't understand what they are undergoing? What are their challenges? What are their problems? What are their delimitations? In what ways interventions can be created? Governance sometimes needs some simplified solutions. Solutions whereby you don't have the resources, but you can create a breakthrough. And for that, you need to understand the people. There was this student, which probably few of you might be aware of, that is Mr. Armstrong, who is an IAS officer in Manipur. Are you aware of him? Yeah? Okay. Armstrong Pame? Yeah? So this boy, what happened was, he was a student, 2009-10. Anyway, so what happened was that when he was posted in Manipur, closer to his district, there were 2 villages which were completely detached, completely disconnected. So repetitively there were complaints that were raised that we are unable to go to the market, we are unable to sell off our products, we are unable to gain benefits from various government schemes. Then this person, he spoke to the people, and after exhaustive discussion, he was able to arrive at a conclusion that something needs to be done, but government is not extending the support in terms of finances. So the moment he realized that we are not going to get any funds from the center, yet a breakthrough needs to be created. But it still can be created when people have the stakeholder mentality. So how about develop that sense of stakeholder mentality, pooling the energy and resources that we have available at local level, encourage people to come together and work towards the game. And you know what he could create? He created 100 kilometers road all the way by connecting both the villages to the main city. 100 kilometers road without any government funding. Not a single rupee was given out by the center or the state. It was completely by Shramdan and various donations that were created by people who were well off. Along with that, there were certain other interventions which you can connect with, for example, Poma Tudu. She is an IAS officer posted in Odisha. So Poma, she is the first IAS officer from her tribe. And when she was posted in one of the heartlands of Odisha, so what happened was that repetitively there were certain villagers who were coming and complaining that various government benefits are not reaching. Even midday meal grains are not reaching the school. The school is half the time not so functional because there is a hill and there is no road that is leading to the village. So people have to walk all the way. You cannot even carry a basic vehicle. So people have to walk and trek. And then only people can reach that specific place. So a trekking of almost 2 hours is needed. It was more than 10 kilometers distant. So this lady, one day she wanted to just have a feel, an empathetic, compassionate connect with what is exactly happening at grassroots level. She went there. She explored that area. Her juniors warned her that IAS officers are sometimes abducted and they are they undergo some threat related to life and security. But she was like, these are my people. If I don't stand for them, who else will? If I also feel scared about my security, I who's representing the system, who's having the backing of the system, if I don't exhibit courage, stewardship means leadership, then who else will? So this lady, she started walking down, and then definitely the juniors, they followed. She went, she reached the village, she spoke to the people. People had that sense of, I would say, relief that here is the officer for the first time arriving and visiting our village. The sense of connect that people had. Sometimes, you will be posted in districts which will have more than 400 or 500 villages also if it's a big district. So visiting each and every village is not possible. But if there are remote corners and you have to discuss with people, or sometimes some random case comes up related to some religious violence or something associated with animal sacrifice or human sacrifice issue blowing out of proportion or any such issue, your capability to understand the background of the issue, how to make an intervention, how to solve the problem will be finer and sharper. By giving this explanation, what I mean to say is that your capability to solve case studies in GS paper 4 will be more profound when you understand your society better. All right. So, other than this, when we are speaking of the component of essay, in the dimension of essay, you all will be able to find that out of 250 marks essay, whereby you have 2 essays to be dealt with. So, in past 4 years, we can see that constantly there are questions asked related to philosophical or quote-based essays. Okay. But other than the philosophical or quote-based essays, you all will be able to witness that there will be one essay, other than the philosophical or quote-based essay, there will be one essay which will be based on either of the 4 topics. There will be a topic based on social issues. There will be a topic which will be based on political issue. One will be economic. And the 4th can be associated with either IR or science and tech. Okay. Or it can be based on quote-based only. Means that's how UPSC goes ahead with in past few years. Now, in terms of essay, when we are speaking of it, you need to write a very, very exhaustive, answer. When we are talking about essay, we are talking about like something around 1100 words, because UPSC gives the direction, write in 1000 to 1200 words. So I'm just giving an average that about 1100 words needs to be written. When you're writing a GS answer of let's say 150 words or 250 words, so 150 words means like 1.5 page or 2 page, depending on your size of handwriting, right? When it is 250 words, it is 3.5 page or 4 pages, depending on the size of your handwriting. So the moment we speak of essay, which is 1100 words, this is around 16 to 20 pages, depending on the size of your handwriting. 16 to 20 pages. Keep turning the pages, hold a bunch of pages and feel the volume. Only those can write a profound and exhaustive essay who have a wholesome clarity about the topic, who have an in-depth knowledge related to the topic. And yes, optional builds that in-depth knowledge. Optional is the one which can fix a lot of insights, which can help you create a meaningful content for the dimension of essay writing. Is that making sense to all of you? Right? Okay. So when we are talking about writing 16 to 20 pages, optional, that is sociology, can help you profoundly with respect to one topic for sure. And second topic, that is when we are talking about the 125 marks, second topic, that is philosophical essays, when we are talking about it, whensoever, if we get a chance to discuss about it informally, you'll realize that here also, to gain an understanding what's unfolding, how it is unfolding, the social context and background fixes a lot of reality. So it's not that in the second topic it will not make a veritable glimpse, it will not make a mark. So here also it shall help you. And the purpose of discussing all this is that finally it's a competitive exam that we are talking about. And finally it's about getting selected. So how to make a meaningful intervention by which something so substantial is created that it not only helps you to clear the optional component, but also helps in a profound manner with respect to clearing your wholesome examination. Because just by having good marks in optional, it doesn't help necessarily. So in interview, as I told you that every now and then the UPSC examiner loves to ask the interviewers, they just love to ask topics associated with social concern, because that shows your civil services values, that reflects not just the civil services values, but also your leadership tendency, your capability to connect with the larger concerns of the society, your capability to understand the aspirations of the people, and how to get into problem solving by understanding what the society is exactly suffering from or it is undergoing. All right. So I hope you are getting an idea that the game is not only associated with an optional subject, it is associated with your GS, essay, as well as interview. Okay. So when we are discussing about this is the success rate which was declared by UPSC itself in the year 2017. It just came up with the percentage that was in the previous, that is last year, when I was discussing about this comparative analysis, I compared it with other optional subjects, but then I felt that's pretty immature. pretty immature, because like, I can do that very easily. That see this XYZ optional is very popular in market, see the success rate. Sociology is far better. But I felt that why to talk like that? Because every optional subject is giving success, right? And in the end of the day, every student just needs one seat. The percentage and probability depends on the power of penmanship that a student holds. Even if sociology is a very successful subject, but still you can see it is, and it is stable. One thing which you can see is it's giving stable selections, right? Stable selections means it's not that some year it is just giving 5% selection, next year it is 11% or 12%. That does happen with few optional subjects without taking their names, okay? That topsy-turvy possibility happens. That for few years one optional is like ruling the roost, and then suddenly it is going down, the roller coaster. And then again it's like climbing up. So those possibilities do happen with respect to optional subjects once in a while. But thankfully, by the grace of God, sociology is the one which is a stable performer. It neither goes too low nor goes too high, but on an average it is amongst top 3. This I can say with due confidence, going by UPSC results, it is amongst the top 3 performers amongst optional subjects when it comes to selection, okay? And what I personally feel is, whenever you compare, just look into the number of students over here when we are talking about it. So number of students who appeared with this sociology optional in mains and number of students who are recommended, okay? So just check this comparison, you will be getting an idea that the number of students who appeared is something which is going to give you an idea in terms of when you're comparing it with other optionals. This is something which is going to give you an idea how helpful sociology is. Because this is something whereby you're appearing for the interview level, right? And like clearing the mains level and appearing for the interview level. So here, so many students are appearing for the mains with this optional. And how many are like, recommended for the interview when we are talking about it, and when we are like comparing the data. So you can just see this. So many students writing mains, and finally so many like clearing the exam. So just see how many are writing the mains and then see the numbers. So that will give you a sense of like, clarity with respect to what is the percentage of selection. This year, I just hid his marks because that's just not needed. That will be not correct. So when we are talking about this, you all can just see this very insight with respect to the component of essay, that this student, he was my student, Dongari Lakshman, I had taught him. This year's All India topper is him with a 304 whooping marks in sociology. Yet I am showing this that he is not recommended. And the reason is personality test to a certain extent, though he had good marks in personality test, means averagely good, not great as his previous attempt. Essay, in which he was really good. He did not practice, he goofed it up, okay? And the another component, that is your GS paper 4, that is ethics. So he took it very lightly. So here, in the previous attempt, he had 128, which is brilliant marks. This year, it was quite low. I'm not showing out of sheer respect, he's senior to you. In essay, in the similar manner, in his first attempt, he had 154. Then he had 137. This year, it was even less. For the simple reason, he was like, oh, essay, I'm quite good. I get good marks in essay. I'm quite good in like ethics. So he did not practice it. He left it for the last minute revision and last minute, like just writing to 1 or 2 essays and just practicing a bit of this like 5 days of ethics preparation. This is what he told me. And I was so disheartened. Anyway, this year I won't let that happen. I'll for sure keep a follow-up of the situation. But just informing this, that you have to pay attention to these 4 areas for your selection, irrespective of what the optional subject is for a student. If you are performing well in essay, in your paper 4 to a certain extent, because paper 4 is also not so scoring as much as essay, your optional subject and the interview. These are the prime 3 areas where you get 60% above marks. So I thought, how about comparing a mark sheet with respect to the and this year on an average marks were pretty low. This is the AIR 1 in sociology's marks, that is 304. Majority of the selected students, you will find they are having 280, 286, 290, 297, something like that. One student has got 302. Okay, So, but 302 was not my student. Okay. So when I was observing the list of marks, this year's All India third rank. So if you check out her mark list, you'll find that she also had sociology optional. So sociology always makes it to top 10 in past few years. Amongst the people who get selected with top 10 ranks, sociology is one of the prime optional. Many a times it's like 2 students are there with respect to sociology. This is Anu Kumari. She was AIR second rank like 3 years back. So you can just see how she gets selected. You can see essay 153. In GS you can see 100, 224, 34, 101. You can see that, right? Okay. She scored very well in paper 3, I must say. And with respect to this essay 1, second you can see optional. This you can see 165 and 155. So this is like pulling up the marks big time. All of you can see that. Third is the component of personality test 187. So the capability to score 60% and above is there associated with the dimension of these 3 areas: essay, optional and interview. They can give you the quantum leap. I will always encourage you to see the previous year like selected students mark list. Like in your free time, just have an idea how much students are scoring. You just have an idea that how much people are actually getting the marks, because once you are able to see the comparative mark sheet, all of you gain an idea which areas ought to be prioritized to get a breakthrough or to get a rank. Because after all, everyone is studying to get a rank, right? So everyone needs to understand, all of you need to understand which are the areas which can give that quantum leap. Understanding this bit? Yeah. So 60% above kahan aega? You have to just see that, this year, even All India 50th rank. So I had taught him, he was a student from Kolkata. So when we were discussing about the marks, he was like, ma'am, in GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, all the 4, getting 110 was a big deal. 102, 105, you'll see that kind of marks. And it's not about him. You'll find that with respect to other students as well. On an average, you will be finding that students, like they really struggle to get even 105, 110 in GS papers, the 4 GS papers. Whereas in optional, it is quite easy to get something around 130, 140. And as I have previously also informed all of you, that from rank 1 to the last rank holder, the difference is just of 30 marks. That's it. So the quantum leap can be provided by areas like optional, because 500 marks is at stake, 250 marks of essay and 275 marks of interview, prime role. Other than that, wherever there is more subjectivity, the capability to score higher will be there. And subjectivity comes in ethics paper, so that also can help you. But again, 2017 onward, that has not been very stable in terms of giving marks. All right. So if any one of you is under the apprehension that you do not have sociology as your background subject, then let me tell you, more than 90% of the students who appear with sociology as their optional subject do not have it as their graduation subject. Okay, it's not their undergrad subject. Majority of them are engineers, a handful of them are doctors, and another handful of them are from commerce background. If the examiner asks you that how come you were an engineer and you opted for sociology as an optional, just say that the 2-3 explanations which I gave you, that it gives you a comprehensive understanding of the society where you are going to be a part of and govern it. And the moment you understand the dynamics of the society, the patterns of its traditional insight as well as the change it is undergoing, your capability to arrive at better decisions, sharper and faster decisions will be there. Your decisions will be based on rationality as well as a comprehensive understanding of what the society is undergoing. Getting it? Another thing which you can always explain is that civil services is about multidimensional skills. That's why in GS paper, around 16 subjects are taught. That means UPSC wants you to have multidimensional skills. So you further felt that you should add to those skills by adding one more subject in your insight, that is, other than the optional other than the undergrad subject that you have honed your skills with and probably you have been employed with. Okay, then you opted for this discipline so that that multidimensionality aspect gets further more strengthened. Okay, so I hope all of you are understanding this. Okay, now another segment is this: how to score 280 to 330 marks. You know, in sociology in the past, I'll be honest, 345 also people have got, but that's a very rare phenomenon. But getting 280 to 330 is achievable. It is possible. It's not tough. 280 to 330 depends on some very systematic, meticulous planning. Okay, and the segments which can help you achieve this 280 to 330, I will just boil it down to 4 simplified aspects. One is how you are preparing the notes. Second is what are you referring. Third is how you are updating the content. And fourth is associated with the question and answer, how you are practicing, how you are interpreting, and how well versed you are with the given area. So first, when we are speaking about notes making, that's why I'm keeping this in the open session, so that even those students, like, you know, who are curious and who want to learn about the preparation of notes, and they want to go ahead with the possibility of notes making related to other subjects as well, they gain an insight from this given area. So whenever you have to prepare the notes, one thing which I'll encourage all of you in the future, the moment you opt for this optional, is do away with using registers and diaries. Yes, stop using registers and diaries. Now switch to A4 size pages, unruled pages. Just make borders out of it, the 4-side borders, and according to the chapters, keep stapling it. The benefit of it is every time you have to update the content, you can always add more pages. You can always purchase a 10-20 rupee file, and you can always arrange the notes systematically, right? So how you should prepare the notes? First and foremost, let me just start from the basic. Always paste the syllabus. In the very first page, you should always have the syllabus, so that you are able to tap each and every single topic that is there in the syllabus. This applies to sociology as well as your GS papers. You will be able to monitor the development of every single topic, and if it is not taught in the class, is it provided in the material? If some subject, and you find that it is not even in the material, then who is the MyBAP of that topic? From where do we need to update? Is it so irrelevant? Then why is it in the syllabus? So individual monitoring of every topic is possible if you first paste the syllabus. You can just go through each and every single topic. One. Second thing, suppose you are starting with a given chapter. So let's say if you are starting with the first chapter, paste the details of that chapter in that syllabus. Means suppose if you are starting with sociology and you are starting with the first chapter, paste the details of the syllabus, what terms has UPSC used. Alright. Second thing what you need to do after that is you should always prepare an index that from which page to which page what you have written. Okay. So let us say, and how many revisions you are doing. So let's say this is something like you can create 4 or 5 columns related to revision. You can maintain an index, and in the index you can just enlist that which topic is on which page number, so that if you have to individually revise a topic, you can straight away switch to that topic. One. Another thing is you can monitor the revision of every single topic, that how many times you have revised it. Minimum 5 revisions are essential. When I say 5 revisions, okay, this rule applies to all the papers for that matter. So when I say 5 revisions, the 5 revisions are associated with 24 hours, 48 hours, then it goes with after 7 days, then it goes with after 15 days, and then it goes with after 30 days. So when we speak of these 4, they are relatively speedy. The one which is done within 24 hours, this is relatively slow and reflective. This is more of a recalling and recognizing exercise, 7 days, 15 days and 30 days. This revision gets a boost when you are constantly updating. So after the syllabus, after the index, let us consider you have prepared the notes. And in the notes, I'll always encourage you that other than these 2 margins which are mandatorily left by students, either leave this margin or leave this margin. Just leave either of the margins. Just leave one of the margins. Why? Because you can always write something which you are reading from some other source. So there should be some breathable space in the material. Another segment which I can then add is you should add a list which is associated with the keywords which are coming across. Not necessarily defining the keywords, but keywords / sentences. If you do it in GS, your vocabulary will grow multifold, not just in optional, if you do it in GS as well. So there will be new terms and terminologies which you will be introduced to associated with sociology, and the same applies to other GS papers, because many of you have really not mastered your vocabulary after standard 8th, right? Majority of you stopped updating your vocabulary after standard 8th purposefully. I mean, 9th, 10th was all about board exams and getting into science stream, okay? And after that, 11th, 12th was all about getting into IITs or something like that. That's the truth about 90% of you, yeah? I mean, online or offline. And then after that, once you prepared for all this, then you landed up as an undergraduate in the class with a vocabulary which is worthy of a standard 8th, 9th kid. And then you want to clear a civil services exam with that 8th, 9th vocabulary. When you understand that all tool of communication is language, whether it is a written language or it is oral language, but all the game that gets changed is associated with the component of language. So you need to work on that. So I'll always encourage you that in every chapter, make a list whereby you note down just the keywords. After seeing the keywords, you are able to reflect, recollect the meaning. If not, so suppose you have written the word in a separate color, let's say you've written it in purple and you've underlined those keywords in the material, in the notes. So if you've underlined those words, you know where to find those words and find the relevance or the reference of it, the elaboration and the meaning of it. Understanding that? So that is something which is going to boost your vocabulary and expression. So that's keywords. Why sentences? Not every sentence. There are some star universal sentences that can be copied and pasted in multiple references, multiple areas. Yeah. And I always say that those universal sentences should be mastered by students, because suppose you don't know an answer, then in that case, not for guessing, but for writing something which is relevant but may not be so precise, but at least you are able to, rather than leaving the question completely, you can write 3 to 4 sentences. That possibility is developed when you have a list of meaningful, powerful, universal sentences. Okay. Last but not the least, you should always practice the previous year questions. The moment a chapter is over, if the question is directly associated with that chapter, then you should purchase a previous year question, trend analysis kind of a booklet related to GS as well as optional. And then what you should do is, you should paste the PYQ on one page, one question, and try to write the introduction in language. Then you can enlist keywords in just points, and after enlisting keywords in points, then you can write the conclusion in language. Why am I saying introduction and conclusion in language? Because majority of the students, they struggle from the possibility of how to start an answer. So how to start an answer is something which should be practiced regularly. The student who writes 2 answers per day in sociology, in this subject I can tell you, you will become unbeatable. Every single day 2 answers. But the moment first chapter is over, till the time first chapter is not over, you can remain patient. 1. Second, if there is a topic which is let's say inter-topic in approach, means it is having one segment from chapter 1, but there is a segment related to chapter 5, clubbed together, asked as a question. You will always write that question and leave the page and wait for chapter 5 to get over, club the 2 and then write the answer. That way, if you leave the sheet, you remember that, oh, I have to write this one as well. Getting it? So the combination of all these elements, and yes, last but not the least, updates. If there is any scope for updates, then it can be attached further. Updates means other than in this 2 section, as I showed this to all of you, that in every notes you can write something extra either on this or on this, either of the panels which you have left. But what if the update is more than this? What if, because sociology has a very interesting dynamics of expecting you to constantly update your skills with respect to GS, with respect to what's happening in and around, though with more relevance and with more, I would say, reference sources, because in GS you don't need to remember the reference source. In sociology you do need to remember that. So here when you are like, let's say, updating the content, and suppose there is no space, you can always add it towards the end. So when you staple this entire bit together, and suppose if you have to add something, suppose I have to add update, and suppose I have prepared the notes and the notes is of 16 pages, and suppose I have to add some updates and the keyword is like 17th page. Okay, so 1 to 16 is notes and 17 is keywords. Now how to update, how to add content, no problem. Update will be 16.1, page number 16.2, 16.3. That's how you can add. And if they are loose sheets, you can always add more pages without the problem of, oh my God, things are getting quite scattered. Just imagine you're going for writing your mains exam and anything and everything related to that chapter, from the keywords to the, like, let's say previous year questions, updates, along with the notes and material, is just in one page, in one area, in one file. Isn't it easy to revise rather than having it in a scattered manner? So that is something which I'll encourage all of you to go ahead with, notes making, if you are doing it in private capacity. Then comes the area what to refer. So I'll be like sharing the list, especially for all those students who, like, you know, who would be listening to it online, those who are like strained to take the admission or to, like, you know, go ahead with this component. I just thought that how about sharing the sources so that they read from good sources and update their skills accordingly. Other than essential sociology, that is of Nitin Sangwan, the popular celebrity book which everyone tends to suggest, that Nitin Sangwan pad lo. Nitin Sangwan is a good book, but it is just like, you know, a beginner's introductory book. Okay, in casual language I sometimes call it the Dukki book of like UPSC. Dukki means it will introduce you to the basic concepts, but it cannot pull you through. Just by reading that book you cannot be an like AIR 1 or 2, something like that. Okay, it will help you to bring the basic insights and clarity. And definitely it has done a good job in terms of consolidating information from all relevant simplified sources. So if there is a beginner with non-sociology background, that book is good. I do not deny that fact. But is that sufficient to get a rank? Is that sufficient to get a sociological command? No. This is something which I'll honestly say. Because please understand, your examiner is a sociologist, a central university senior sociologist whose research work must have been published in various international journals. Such a person is evaluating your copy. And he or she is constantly getting answers which are of that mark, whereby there is critical analysis and in-depth relevance and exhaustive reflection. So why will he not give like marks to those areas rather than a generalized answer which the student has picked up from one common book, which almost the relevant structure is there with each and every student. There's no difference between the copy of A, B and C. So the examiner is looking for some, like, you know, thought-provoking insight, and that comes with some quality reference reading. So what have I created? So there are 3 segments which I have created in terms of what to refer. The first is, I have created in the lecture, I have created handouts so that you don't have to, like, on an average read even Nitin Sangwan. I mean, if anyone is my student, why should the student like be bothered to read Nitin Sangwan for that matter? Okay. So my handouts are the most simplified insight related to that given topic. Okay. If you have purchased Nitin Sangwan, nothing to be sad of. You can always read a quick reading of the chapter, and then when you listen to the lecture, and then when I explain, it will make more sense. And you'll understand that certain other basic details, what else can you find in the book, okay? And what is missing there, the critical analysis or the relevance part, what is missing and how to like further update. So what is, when you know the delimitations of a book, you know that how far you have to refer to it. So the handout is the first stage. I would say this is my stage 1 material. The stage 1 material which I provide is like handout, which is a gist of like, you know, material from different sources, but in a very simplified language. It is a layman's language, not layman like layman in the sense like a journalist or a common person. No. Layman means a person who is just getting introduced to sociology, whereby the language is sociological, but not so very technical that you get caught up in jargons. The stage 2 is once you are introduced to this level of like understanding, then you are introduced to the notes which are in the form of booklet. And this is something where I introduce you to the world of academicians. That means once you've understood the topic thoroughly, then I have connected it with the dimension of the different relevant sources from where I wish that all of you should study once in a while. For example, for chapter 1, if I want you to read certain 2 paras from IGNOU and I want you to read T.B. Bottomore, then rather than expecting that you will purchase Bottomore, I have picked the paras from Bottomore, I have picked those paras from IGNOU, I have fused them together and I have got it typed for the booklet. So when you are reading the booklet, it is actually the academic source. So rather than expecting all of you to have a wholesome library and having at least 15 compulsory books for sociology, I have extracted the gist from those books and I have created like a compiled reading in the booklet format. There are 8 booklets in totality. And these booklets are nothing but they are insights lifted from the books of different thinkers. I hope that makes sense to all of you. Do not attempt the booklet in the first book. That's one instruction which I'll tell you. Do not attempt the booklet in the first book. If you read the booklet in the first go, you will find it tough and you may have a tendency to quit. Isko kabhi nahi padhna hai. So never ever read the booklet in the first go. First, listen to the lecture, understand the lecture, read the handout which I provide. You'll find that this handout is providing you maximum solutions. Okay. The way people sometimes they find out some simplified books like that of Sangwan and then they are like, oh, it is a simplified solution. So you'll realize that a more exhaustive solution sometimes I've created in the form of the handout, though I have maintained precision in terms of what is asked. Along with that, when we are talking about this, then after you finish the handout, then please move ahead to the booklet, because then you will be reading something which is purely sociological, which is of the university level reference book. You don't have to sleep over the book. I don't expect you to even make notes out of it. What I expect is one quick reading of the chapter, which is like published, or which is rather not published, which is typed in the booklet. After one quick reading, what I expect from all of you is that in the second reading, then, because not everything will be very clear, because the language is very loaded sociologically. It's not written for, I would say, coaching students and civil services aspirants. It's written for budding academicians who are like undergraduates. So that's the language, that's the level. Okay. So what is expected is give a quick reading, and after the quick reading of the material, what I expect from all of you is that identify those pockets, those areas where you could not understand. And those areas which you could not understand, ask yourself why I couldn't understand. And the moment you feel that, okay, maybe the jargon was very cliched, or the expression was too like tied up, then you can always reach out to me. 90% of the times it will be sorted. 10% of the times, once in a while, few of you may get stuck. And for that situation, I'm always there to do the hand holding. Okay. Hand holding is one thing which I constantly do to all my students. That is, when I say the component of hand holding, Lakshman was my 2017 student. That must give you an idea that I do not quit upon my students, because I understand different students have different pace of journey. Some of them get selected within a year, within 2 years. But for some, it can be a prolonged process. For some, it can be a phase-based process. For example, Ira Singhal. In 2010, she became Revenue Services Officer. In 2014, she became IAS with All India 1 rank. Okay. So for different students, the phase can be different. Recently, a student was on some other online platform. He was lamenting over the fact that I have appeared for 6 interviews and I have written like 10 mains and still not getting selected. So that's why I'm saying that different students have different journey. You have to respect your journey. You have to respect who you are. What is your pace? What are your basic skills? And how you have to build up from the scratch. When you respect that, you do not underestimate yourself. Neither you are flying in the air. You know that how measured you have to be in terms of your preparation, revision, and creation, that you have to be associated with the mains answer writing, or whether it is associated with the interview component. Okay. So few of you will be blessed with the possibility of getting selected within a year, within 2 years. For few, it may be like you're reaching till the interview, or you're reaching in Indian Postal Services and you need to revise your rank. In those situations also, or few students who might not even clear the mains, or for that matter, even if few of you are there who are unable to clear prelims, don't be ashamed of it. You fought, you prepared, and you are ready to fight further. For that very purpose, for that very honoring your hard work, I'll always stand for you. Your parents may once in a while judge because they don't know how the preparation goes on. So maybe after 2 years of preparation, parents may like, shadi kar lo, job le lo, do this, do that. Okay. But if you're really honest, you're hardworking, you're meticulous, you know you can clear it, you know you have to do it because everything is under your control, then in that situation, you shall always find me. Any given component. Fun fact is, whether it is associated with your optional subject or in GS specific components, whether it's Indian society, social justice, even ethics for that matter, or essay for that matter, or interview. Like, I can be one-stop solution for all of you if that is you get stuck. Informally, I can guide you and I can always update your skills. If you need some insight, some extra information, some extra reflection, you can always get it. Because all the abstract areas, coincidentally, are my genre of expertise. Okay, so that's something which I can create for all of you. Okay, now, so this is stage 1 and stage 2. I mean, before this stage is the component of like revision and reflection. So as from Ludhiana Center, one of the students is asking that you tried reading sociology class standard 11th but couldn't understand it. Don't try to read NCERT to begin with if you are finding it because NCERTs, though they are written for school students, but there are so many new names, new jargons, you may get lost and you were like, I don't know whether I'm doing justice with this topic also or not, right? So I will just tell you that breathe easy, go easy. What you can do is that probably you can listen to the lecture which is posted related to the IGNOU website. On IGNOU website of YouTube, senior professors or academicians have spoken about specific topics. So you can listen to that, but listen to that on 1.25x speed. Because sometimes professors are very slow in speaking, as per the age and as per the demeanor that they develop. So you can listen to that also. That will be qualitatively helpful. One thing. Second thing which I can also help you with is, other than the IGNOU professors, is that the moment I finish the chapter, I shall ensure that all of you are loving it and enjoying it. You understand the wholesome insight related to that topic. And not just that, you are also able to build a fine sense of connectivity of that topic with respect to what is unfolding around you. One thing probably which your senior students or someone who has studied from me in the previous batch you can ask and you can just get to know is, I am a master in making the most boring and tedious topics like chapter 2 sociology as science or research methods and techniques. They are considered as the most boring topics. Many teachers in various coaching institutes, they don't even teach. They're like, I've given you the material, read it and done. And you'll realize even those topics I can make most interesting by bringing in a lot of real life examples and experiences, whereby you can really connect. Because coming up with interesting examples and real life case studies, research work of senior professors, philosophers, and lacing it up with your preparation is something which definitely is created by me, and you'll just enjoy that process. I mean, because speaking about it in theory doesn't make much sense until and unless you really experience it in application. So that's something which I can tell you. How to update the content. So with respect to update, there are two ways in which I can help you. First is we have a Telegram channel this time. Last year we had, till last year, 2013 to 2021, or rather 2022 March, I have had the Telegram, WhatsApp groups. They were closed groups, so they were not having open access for anyone and everyone. And in the WhatsApp groups, definitely a basic, I would say, two-way process of communication is maintained. If anyone is going haywire or anyone is making absurd communal comments or something like that, definitely I do not appreciate that, and I take charge of such a situation, which is very rare, like rarest of the rare. But if something like that happens, corrections are made. But other than that, they are very healthy, I would say, platforms of two-way communication whereby students write their insights, they write their experiences and their perspectives related to a topic or something which they have read somewhere else. And it's an open platform for everyone to post anything relevant that they find from any source. I do not hinder my students that जो मैंने पढ़ा है यही best है और यही एकदम अंतिम सत्य है. That's something which is, I would say, very narcissist in approach. I mean, and why to have that approach? In the end of the day, it is your selection that should matter. So if anyone comes across any material, any content which is relevant and which is connected to the topic which is being taught or which shall be taught, feel free to post it in the group. That is something which I encourage. Also, certain previous year questions. Suppose one student has posted the question and is struggling and asking that, okay, I have arrived at these 2-3 topics. So how to cover the components, how to cover the areas. So definitely, or what more can be added. So first your friends help, and once your friends saturate and few points are missing, then I help. So it is not just a 2.5 hour classroom program. It is a program which keeps on floating throughout the day, on and off. Anytime you are free, you can visit the group, you can see what developments are happening, what more is getting added, what your friends are discussing, and from those sources also you can nourish. On and off, I also do something. Suppose if I am teaching a topic and I feel that some other professor's lecture will also help you build your basics or some critical analysis. So along with my lecture, I share those lectures also. In the pre-COVID era, once in a while, if I used to get invited by, Delhi University, my friends were teaching there. Earlier, I was associated with Jamia also and Kashmir University. I've taught at all these places previously. That is, I'm saying till 2017. I was not fully into this industry. But anyway, so my friends who are there, I'm basically a hardcore student of Delhi University. I've collected a lot of degrees from Delhi University, almost 10 years. So I did my graduation from LSR and then post-graduation in 3 subjects. And then there was journalism and mass communication, and there was masters in literature and masters in sociology. And then I did law also. So I loved studying while I was preparing. I was never like sitting and studying. That was the reason. So that's why Delhi University is like a parent institution. And a lot of friends who are there and who are teaching over there. So once in a while when they have discussions, seminars, and they invite me over. So on that day, generally what I do is I call a day off. That happens once in an year. Many a time it's not very frequent, or it may not happen because COVID is also going on and we are still in the pandemic era. So in that situation, I once in this Delhi School of Social Work, there was this noted, I would say, academician, not academician, he's a journalist. So Palgummi P. Sainath, he was invited. So on rural and agrarian transformation, he's one of the keynote speakers, I must say. So he had come over. So I took my offline class. For online, I recorded it and I shared it with them on the platform. So I do some extra efforts also to keep you connected with what all debates and discussions are going on, what all issues are constantly seething and searing. Also, I keep updating the content regularly from sociology magazines, because remember, the professors who are making the question paper, they are reading sociology magazines. So the issues they are surrounded by, whether in EPW or sociological journals, those are the issues which they will convert and simplify and ask in the civil services exam. So if I am not well read and I am not well posted, and I'm not aware that what are the debates and issues by which these professors are surrounded, I cannot keep you connected with those issues. And it's not expected from a civil services aspirant that the child will read 16 subjects in GS and then in optional also will make so much of hustle. So for that hustle part, I am there to support and minimize your burden. Okay, just have to focus on listening to the lecture, be thorough with the handout, prepare your notes and follow the previous year question by practicing the question and answer. And I told you 2 questions minimum per day, minimum, whether you study from me or from any source, but just go ahead for writing 2 answers per day. That is something which is a must. And then definitely the notes and the booklet is something which is to be associated with. That's something which all of you need to connect with. All right. Okay, so as you're asking that will the lecture be streamed live, the lecture will be streamed live, 1. Second, The recording will be available. There will be 5 times view which will be allowed for any student who has missed out the lecture or wants to revise the topic. So 5 times viewership will be allowed. How can we connect the current affairs with sociology syllabus? I'll be showing you the syllabus. There are a lot of slides which I have created, so probably you can just be patient and I can show you. All right. So like here, I mean, like, can you just show this once? Yeah. So when I'll be like just showing you the syllabus, I'll be just discussing that, Bhanu, with respect to how it can be connected with current affairs. So let us just be patient for a while. So how to update the content? When we are talking about updating the content, not every topic needs that update. But yes, there are substantial number of topics, especially in like paper 2, which needs to be updated. Second, even in paper 1, those topics which don't need to be updated, but a critical reflection is needed. How you can connect that topic with the current scenario? Because please understand, in the topic, if I'm talking about your syllabus, and for example, if I'm talking about the thinkers, when I speak of Karl Marx, when I speak of Emil Durkheim, when I speak of Max Weber, Talcott Parsons, Robert Merton, except Mead and Merton are relatively more recent. But if I speak of Marx, Durkheim and Weber, they are almost 100 years old, even more than that. Marx and Durkheim, I mean, Marx is more than 100 years old. So how come a thinker who's 100 years old, I mean, more than 100 years, I mean, after 150 years also, we are thinking about Marx and we are talking about Marx. That means he is relevant in the present context. So like, let us say, if the students have, or other people have burnt the trains in Bihar, when I'll be teaching Marx and when I'll finish with his basic concepts, towards the end, I will bring in the insight. Once I have taught you alienation, class struggle, I have taught you the component of historical materialism. Towards the end, I will request you people that can you connect now the theory with what is happening in Bihar, the struggles which are going on. What would Marx comment upon this situation? How is Marx relevant to that situation? If OBC protest of Jat Andolan was going on in Haryana, can we connect that issue with Marx? So bringing in thinkers to the present scenario. Why is it essential? There was a question which was asked by UPSC a few years back related to Merton, that when you're crossing a traffic light, how can you witness Merton? So it's like, if you know his concepts associated with conformity and deviance, and you understand the theory of conformity and deviance, how you can bring in the theory to the application on the street. So do you understand and connect with the concept in terms of what's unfolding before you, what's blooming in front of you? If you can, then that means you are able to connect with what is really unfolding and what is getting created. But if you cannot connect, then there will be a lot of application-based questions that will be left. So you'll be realizing that I bring in a lot of interesting examples. So when we'll be talking about the issue of religion with respect to Durkheim, I'll be talking about a lot of contemporary examples which is unfolding right now. Like just a few days back, it was in the newspaper that in Odisha, the tribal people, they take a walk, a long religious walk from one area to another to predict about the patterns of monsoon. So can we connect it with Durkheim and his concept of religion and society? So are you getting it? A lot of interesting examples will be given. In the channel, you'll realize that I'm constantly posting a lot of news articles and requesting all of you to connect the news article with the topic which is being taught or which has been taught. So a lot of debates and discussions will keep unfolding in the group for sure. And we'll be discussing with due maturity, and I'll be treating all of you as future civil servants, not like college going kids who can nudge each other, who can write letters to each other, who can chit chat with each other. I also give freedom to my students that if they are really hungry or they are really high and dry in the class and they are dehydrated after the previous lecture because it's an afternoon lecture, and what if you are getting stuck? So in that situation, I also give this freedom to my students that if they have to have a quick bite in the class, whereby something is dry or maybe a fruit or something like that, you can always eat also. The only thing that I expect from my students is utmost attention and celebrating sociology. Celebrating the process of understanding what is happening in the society, how it is happening, why is it happening, because in the end of the day, the purpose of this subject, sociology, that is societas plus logos, is a scientific inquiry towards the society. What has happened, why it has happened, how it has happened, and because of the scientific inquiry of all these domains, we can predict what shall happen, because science brings in predictability. That's why you study science, right? So in science, you have experimentation, you have data collection, hypothesis formation, testing of data, thesis, and then theory. Yes, all these methods are also used in sociology, if you are not aware of it. And that is something which all of you can see in this specific topic. You can see research methods and techniques, which is the third chapter, this qualitative and quantitative methods, techniques of data collection, variables, sampling, hypothesis, reliability, and validity. You can see this, right? So it's a scientific study of human society. It's not a random, I would say, commonsensical approach towards society. And that's why you realize a lot of myths you have developed in the society. A lot of myths you have gained from your family or from WhatsApp groups or from your friends, those myths will start busting. You'll start realizing that you're becoming a better human being in terms of understanding people, in terms of sometimes having an inward journey towards yourself. You'll realize that this discipline is making you a better person in terms of even decision making, whether in private quarter or in social reality. So this discipline, before I would say making you an officer, it first makes you a profound human being. And that's the primary purpose. Like every single student earns something, learns something, and becomes better. So that towards the end of the session, whenever, like, you know, after, generally what is the duration of the session? It is between 80 to 90 sessions. On an average, I have been able to finish it within 82 to 84 sessions. If suppose students are struggling with some topic and they need some extra lecture, and one lecture gets added here and one lecture gets added there. So in that situation, and towards the end, suppose I go for 2 or 3 days Q&A exhaustive discussion session once the entire syllabus is over. So in that situation, you'll realize that it may stretch up to maximum 89-90 sessions. But on an average, you can consider 84-85 sessions is the average size of the total number of sessions. This is what I generally create. You'll realize I don't dictate. Yes, I'm being very honest. 90% of the times I don't dictate, but I discuss a lot. I make you underline a lot. I make you draw a lot of flow charts. Because I believe anything and everything that can be dictated can be given in print or in soft copy. So why to harass a student by dictating for 2 hours? When in those 2 hours, I can indulge in discussion of previous year questions. When I can discuss more number of potential questions. What are the probable areas from where questions can come? When I can discuss more relevant areas from what's happening in the society. So I'll make you thinking and critically analyzing human beings. I'll convert you into that. Because that is something which is essential to be a part of the system. The examiner constantly wants you to think, reflect, create. And that is possible only when that effort starts from the classroom itself. So I won't like burn you or myself down in dictation. Once in a while, if that is a pressing need, then that won't be lasting for more than 5 to 10 minutes, for sure. Okay. So because, I mean, like, I'll tell you, when COVID started, at that time period, this is what happened, that when the COVID had started, around 80% of my content was in soft copy. 20% was still something which I was dictating in 2020. I got all of it typed, proofread, checked, and then got it consolidated in the handout. So the handouts were not so fat in 2020 as much as they are in 2022. And I can assure you, in the forthcoming years, maybe in 24 or 25, if I'm taking this subject, then it will be further edited, some new additions, some new subtractions will be done. Because every year, I try to recreate myself as well. Because until unless I'm not feeling the enthusiasm of the journey, how can I create the same for all of you, right? So the process has to be a two-way process. When I'm enjoying and celebrating and learning and reflecting and analyzing, then only I can make you do the same. All right. So despite the fact that there has been a decades journey with this subject, but still I feel myself like a student, despite of 2 decades of this discipline. Constantly there is so much that it can nourish me with. So as all of you can see, this does terminology play a significant role in sociology optional? Yes, a massive role in sociology optional. So you have to memorize the terminology. That's why I told you that you have to write down the jargons. That applies to all subjects. Political science, philosophy, you say anthropology, you say geography. Every subject has its own set of keywords, technical words. And you should know it to make your answer more, I would say, expertise oriented. That's how it looks like an optional answer. All right. So that is something which is there. Along with this, will the sociology optional, this I have done. The class timings will be the same, 2 to 4:30 p.m. So 2 to 4:30 p.m. will be the timing. This is what I have decided. I'll try to, like initially I'll keep lesser lectures. Maybe I can start with 3 or 4 lectures per week. But the moment July is over, August starts, it will be the entire weekday, Monday to Friday, 2 to 4:30. So because initially you people are warming up with the optional, so I'll be keeping lesser lectures, maybe 3 days or something, so that you just become easy and comfortable and you connect with the discipline. And once that is done and the basic warm up is over, August onwards we can have 5 days in a week. Okay, so in this very topic you can see modernity and social change in Europe and emergence of sociology. So for this I told you that Bottomore is there, and other than TB Bottomore, few topics have been covered by IGNU also very well. Those who are like trying to prepare it in their own private capacity. Those who are a part of the classroom program, they don't need to bother. This will be in the booklet. In the similar manner, when we are discussing about the second topic with respect to this given area. So, with respect to this, in the second chapter, when I'm talking about it, I mean, TB Bottomore to वैसे भी page number 1 to 75 सबका पढ़ा होना चाहिए, लेकिन that's what I have created, a gist of it in the material, so nothing to worry about. So for chapter 2 and 3, this is Harlambus and Holborn. That is the book which I'll be talking about. So this topic 2 and chapter 3, Sociology as Science and Research Methods and Analysis. So Harlambus, this is a basic book which everyone will ask you to buy. Harlambus and Holborn. I have lifted insights from this book also and got some material typed. So Harlambus and Holborn, many people will say buy Harlambus and Heald, the orange book. It's thinner, it is smaller, okay, it's more compact. No, I will not advise. Not because I love to make you read more, because that's the previous edition. That was something which is carrying the case studies of 1970s and 1980s. That's the first version of what Harlambus had written with another writer, that is Heald. Whereas Harlambus and Holborn is the next volume, it's the next book. And that is as updated as the case studies which you find in Harlambus and Holborn, which is published in green cover book or blue covered book, both the covers you can find. That is something which you will find will have case studies as recent as 2008, 2010. Okay, so I'll always advise go for Harlambus and Holborn, and I'll never encourage you people to be under the stress that, oh my God, I have to prepare notes. First, focus on understanding. What does the author want to say? What has happened exactly in that specific case study? Because never ever forget that your hustle is all about 150 words to 300 words. If I talk about the scheme of the question paper, okay, so probably if I'm talking about it, we can take it up in this manner, that this has been the pattern of asking the questions. There is section A and there is section B. And section A has 5 questions, question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the 5 parts I should say, in question number 1, or rather A, B, C, D, whatever you call. And this is something which is compulsory, everyone has to do. Question number B again has 5 subparts, okay, when I'm talking about question number 5. So 5 having again A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you call it. This is again compulsory. You cannot skip it. So 10 questions are of 10 marks, 150 words. 10 marks, 150 words. Whereas question number 2, 3 and 4, they are having a combination of 20 marks, 10 marks. Word limit is not mentioned. Same applies to this one, 20, 20, 10, 20, 20, 10. So the thing is, When words are not mentioned, how many words you need to write down, you just reflect that for 10 marks, if I'm writing 150 words, that means for 20 marks, I'm writing something around 300, 350, not more than that, right? So the game boils down to basically 300 words. So you're having 300 words like 6 questions, because from section A, other than question number 1, you need to opt at least one. So suppose out of these 3, you have to opt at least one, preferably you can go for 2 also. So suppose you have opted for question number 2. And here question number 6, 7, 8 has the same formula. So in question number 6, 7 and 8, you have to go ahead with the same 3 questions. 20, 20, 10, 20, 20, 10, 20, 20, 10. So like let's say, in this, if you have opted for question number 2, question number 7 and like let's say question number 3, 20, 20, 10 again. So how many 20 markers do you have to do? 6. 6 20 marker questions. That's it. That means 300 word questions that you have to deal with is just 6. There are 13 questions which are 10 marks, 150 words. So the actual game is of 13 questions, 150 words. That means 2 pages, worthy of writing sociology. So in those 2 pages, you have to see that your answer is as sociological as possible, as critically loaded with critical analysis as possible. Okay. So I hope all of you are gaining an idea that the game is quite fine. It's like fine tuning your possibilities, not in a lot of words, but limited words, but with sociological jargon. So when I'm talking about this specific dimension, so I would like to give you certain keywords over here in the component of daily answer writing practice, where I had written over here that go for question and answer practice 2 questions per day. By this, you will nurture the habit of, I'm just writing the keyword so that you remember this. So nurture the habit, and those who are noting it down, great. So nurture the habit of thinking in sociological terms, critical reflection of a topic. So critical reflection is associated with this dimension, which you need to understand. Connect with current scenario. This is what, you primarily learn when you are getting into question and answer practice. Along with this, theoretical clarity is what you develop. Theoretical clarity. So in 150 words, you don't end up beating around the bush. You write something which is concrete, neat, and precise, using the right technical terms and understanding the core or the essence of the dimension per se. So theoretical clarity plus you develop your understanding of sociological terms, you develop critical reflection, and you connect with the current scenario that is unfolding before all of us. All right. I hope all of you are understanding. Banu, the batch will start on 11th of July. This is the date which I have determined, 11th of July. I will be starting. And in the month of July, from 11th to 30th, I'll keep it very easy, very simplified. And then you will see that slowly and steadily it will start pacing up. Okay. So I have discussed with respect to this. Yeah. So Harlambus and Holborn is associated with both. It is associated with this as well as the topic of this third one. So Harlambus and Holborn can fix this. If any one of you is thinking that which one book should I buy to begin with, I'll advise you go for buying Harlambus and Holborn, because having a hard copy of the book will be advisable. I will be providing you the soft copy of the book and a lot of books, because I'm working on creating a digital library whereby not only all of you, but any student, even those who are belonging to weaker sections and any student from any quarter of life wants to prepare for sociology, there should be no dearth of material. And what should be basically read, primarily read, even if a child is not from classroom program. So I'll just, I'm thinking of creating a digital library where all these books, soft copies will be uploaded. And if anyone is interested to read the soft copy while moving in the metro or while traveling or while you're having a 10 minutes break between the lecture, so you can always have a soft copy read. That is always there. But hard copy is essential, I would say, because I'm still an old school person. I need a book to touch it, to underline it, to paste stick-ons, to dirty it, to get a feel of owning the book. So you can have your own insight, because that's something. Again, with respect to this, as we move ahead with sociological thinkers, Karl Marx, Emil Durkheim, and Max Weber, these three thinkers get covered in Ritzer. Okay, Ritzer is the thinker related to these three thinkers. For Talcott Parsons, I will always advise IGNOU. Robert King Merton, IGNOU is fine. Other than this, Talcott Parsons and Robert Merton, I have picked your notes from what is it? Morgan. Yeah, Abraham and Morgan. So Abraham and Morgan is what I have lifted your material for the booklet, along with certain insights for Talcott Parsons from IGNOU. Okay. Again, for Mead, you can just rely on my material. Okay. On my material, this is more than enough for Mead. Mead, generally you get short questions, not 20 marker questions. Mead always invites 10 marker questions. So you should know that. 10 marker means 150 words. So my material will be sufficient to cover that up. Okay. Then comes the component of stratification and mobility. For paper 1, now the fun fact about this syllabus is, you know what? In paper 1, you read the theory and the global perspective. And in paper 2, you read the Indian perspective. So the moment I'm talking about this stratification and mobility, and I'll say that again, Harlambus and Holborn is the base book which anyone should read. So you see the terms like inequality, and the moment I say inequality, it will bring in the component of class, because there's poverty also, right? And then when we are talking about this inequality and this social stratification with respect to what's happening in terms of India, we all can think of the segment of, like, let's say, caste system, right? So the moment we are talking about the component of class and caste, so caste is associated with a status group. So this very dimension you can find in paper 2. So just quickly giving you an insight, this is your paper 2 syllabus. And in paper 2, you can see this caste system is given in your syllabus, whereby untouchability, features of caste system, and the perspectives of studying the caste system by different thinkers like Ghurye, Srinivas, Louis Dumont, Andre Bete. So you need to know from the perspective of thinkers. Why thinkers are essential to read in sociology? So the reason is, you are not doing the research, right? And I am not doing the research. So how are we making our answers scientific? Someone else has to do the research. So the people who have done the research, we quote their names, their research work, to make our answers scientific or sociological. Other than the name of the thinkers who have done the research, sometimes it can be a think tank or a research group. It can be a school of thought, or it can be a university body which has conducted the research. Sometimes in paper 2, you will find certain topics where certain insights can be lifted from general studies also, if the research has been presented by one of the research teams, whether Indian or global. So that is something which can be helpful. Okay. Ludhiana Center, as you are asking that I should watch those YouTube videos instead of reading NCERTs. अगर NCERT आप ही ने बोला मैम बोरिंग हो रहा है तो कुछ ऑल्टरनेट बताइए, तो मैंने बता दिया ऑल्टरनेट, ठीक है. तो अगर बोरिंग लग रहा है इग्नू, सॉरी ये NCERT स्टैंडर्ड 11th पढ़ना या समझ में नहीं आ रहे, फाइंडिंग इट टफ, so let someone speak, because like, you know, in lecture what happens is audio visual impact gets created, and with audio visual impact, with a lot of things which are visible, the person is explaining, highlighting the keywords, your capability to understand it in a wholesome manner becomes more profound. Okay, that's why I said that if you are finding reading a book tiring and tedious in the initial go, then you can listen to the lecture as well. That will be also helpful in fixing the basics. All right, so after this, when we are talking about it, as I was just helping you with the reference material, so social stratification and mobility, Harlambus and Holborn, work and economic life, you know, in this component, in work and economic life, only the component of work is given in Harlambus, not economic life. Okay, so here I have lifted some material from, like, you know, few like Pullinger से एक दो चीजें उठाई थी, SL दोषी से post modernity का कुछ component उठा लिया था, and like, you know, there is this component which I have also prepared from IGNOU and clubbed it together and prepared this dimension of work and economic life. So you can just rely on the material, the booklet that will be provided, because you cannot read from scattered 3 sources. Okay, politics and society, Harlambus and Holborn. Okay, there's one-stop solution for many of the paper 1 topics. Religion and society, Harlambus and Holborn. Okay, so that's why I told you for paper 1 it's one-stop solution when we are talking about it. Systems of kinship iske baad aana chahiye. Yeah, so this is also Harlambus and Holborn. Along with this, definitely my handouts and material, because I will be like, I have updated it from other sources as well. When we are talking about social change in this development and dependency, MA IGNOU material is the best. Okay. With respect to sociological theories on social change, agents of social change, education and social change. So different components have been used on education and social change. I had picked some insights from Neera Chandok's article also. In agents of social change, I picked something from IGNOU. Sociological theories, again, simultaneously. So this, again, I will suggest that you can rely on the material which will be provided to you in the class. Okay. Then when we are talking about perspectives of Indian society, if any one of you has some time and is interested to read extra, I will always encourage all of you to read David Mandelbaum. David Mandelbaum will fix your basics related to Indian society structure and change. Because before starting with the first topic, that is introducing Indian society, when we are talking about the background of everything in terms of what was the tradition and what we have come up with. So this is the thinker, David Mandelbaum. He is one thinker who, I can always endorse because of his penmanship and the clarity that he brings at the basic level. So Society in India of David Mandelbaum is a very good book that can be read from the beginning to the end, but as an essay. Don't try to, again, make notes to begin with. Enjoy reading. Become a voracious reader. I understand majority of you have suffered while reading. Many of you have been scolded to study. You're not studying enough. Study well. Do this, do that. So a lot of you who have not celebrated studying is like, it tires you. You can watch a back-to-back TV series or finish a complete season and not get tired after watching 6 to 8 hours. Expecting you to study 6 to 8 hours without taking a break is too much of an expectation. While watching a TV series, you might not feel hungry for 3-4 hours. But when you are studying, after every 1 or 2 hours, you need some energy to refuel yourself. It is all about how much we love and celebrate the process. Trust me, that shall happen. The day you will start writing mains, your mind and body will be behaving in the similar manner you have behaved while watching TV series or watching movies. So that will happen. You just need to be patient and celebrate the journey. And for that, to begin with, you can start reading books before sleeping. Don't keep phone or don't use phone while reading. Okay. Once the batch is about to commence, I will post a timetable, a tentative timetable, which you all can use. You can reshuffle the hours as per your classes, because many of you are also dealing with, you also would be dealing with a lot of, I would say, components related to general studies and coaching classes for GS. So you are constantly stuck with the possibility of how to balance time. So I'll provide a timetable. Use that timetable, make it little flexible. It's sleeping time and entertainment timing as per your need. To begin with, you can squeeze down the hours. I have made it for 12.5 hours output, because that's the output you need during mains. To begin with, you can boil it down little and you can make it for 8 hours. Then you can slowly and steadily increase the 8 to 9 and then further 10. Okay, that's something, at least 8.5 to 10 hours is needed for this exam. Let me share that with you. Nothing less than that is needed. Any student who gets selected, if you ask, they'll say 8.5 to 10 hours on an average. That's something which is needed. Okay. Satish, I know that you are from Chennai, and this is not only for you. You should be aware that in this batch, you'll realize a lot of students will be from, because I told you Muatupura Center is there from Kerala. So students from Kerala or students from let's say Chennai, or students from Northeast, we have Itanagar Center, we have Imphal. So a lot of centers from Northeast, students I don't expect them to understand Hindi. Yeah, there's one more thing. When I crack jokes, somehow mother tongue is something which comes out first. So I will take care, which I have done in the past batches as well, that initially if the joke comes out in Hindi, I'll try to translate it in English. but anything which is relevant will not be missed it will not be discussed in Hindi, and it has never been done. I mean, from this lecture also you must be realizing that once in a while if I'm switching to Hindi, that is only when there's something casual which I'm speaking. Like everything and anything will be discussed which is of relevance in English only, because this is an English medium batch. That's why students who encourage ma'am go for bilingual or ma'am go for Hindi, I'm like, no, I'm not capable of it myself, because sociology has a lot of technical jargons and I myself will struggle with the translation of it. So that's just not possible. All right. Now, so with respect to this area, introducing Indian society, perspectives of studying Indian society, that is Indology, G.S. Gure, structural functionalism and the component associated with it. अच्छा, हो सकता है कोई डेविड मैंडलबॉम के अलावा आपको कुछ और भी बुक्स बताए, जैसे चेंजिंग इंडिया, रॉबर्ट स्टर्न की किताब है, अच्छी किताब है, लेकिन ठीक है, इतना मत पढ़ो, एक कम से कम पढ़ लेना. There is Development and Participation by Dr. Amartya Sen and Jean Rez. That book is marvelous for building your conceptual understanding on core topics related to paper 2, but there is a delimitation. Data is not updated. Analysis is very profound, but data is not updated. So I have picked here and there the analysis from those books and put it in your material, but I have updated the data. So booklet में आपको updated data मिल जाएगा. If anyone is into self preparation, update the data by self. That is something which will be needed. That's for the background. So the moment we are starting with this, this component, एक बहुत ही, I won't say average, I'm no one to say that, but it's just a basic book. That is B.K. Nangla की किताब है, ठीक है? So Nangla discusses this component quite exhaustively. Perspectives on the study of Indian society, if we are talking about it. For this, impact of colonial rule and this component, Bipin Chandra, that is your history book, B-I-P-A-N, don't write Bipin, it's Bipan. So Bipin Chandra, India's struggle for freedom. So you can just refer to that book. That will be really, I would say, substantial to cover it in terms of this topic and in terms of this topic. With respect to this modernization of Indian tradition, Yogendra Singh. लेकिन इसका जिस्ट मैंने आप लोग के लिए बुकलेट में बना दिया. योगेंद्र सिंह 125-150 पेजेस की बुक है. So why to read a complete book for one chapter? So I will advise just go by my material. That will be more than enough. Even handout जब बच्चे पढ़ लेते हैं उनको लगता है हाँ this is so much already. So I mean that's something which you all can rely on. Okay, when we speak of social structure, rural agrarian social structure, this specific dimension, IGNU. IGNU is the key with respect to this village studies in Indian villages and evolution of land tenure system and all that. So IGNU is definitely important for building the background. With respect to land reforms and all, this can be updated with GS and all. Again, when we are talking about this component of caste system, in caste system, I will provide you certain readings. So my readings plus IGNU will be sufficient. There are certain insights which I have picked from EPW. There were 2 articles in EPW which were very good. I have incorporated that in your booklet. And along with that, I have also picked few paras from Annihilation of Caste. That is by B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, so you will get that. Along with this, because the features of caste system, untouchability perspective, in Annihilation of Caste, you needed some insight. So I have picked that. Tribal communities in India, Virginius Khaka. His reading I will be providing you. Along with his reading, if someone is interested to read more about tribals, because the child is from any of the scheduled areas and will get questions in interview or in mains or is writing state commission. So for that student, Nadeem Hasnain's book Tribes in India is also good for that student. Not everyone needs to purchase it. So if you are belonging to such an area, then yes, Nadeem Hasnain's book Tribes in India is also it's a basic book. It's not very tough. It's basic book. Along with that, state commission dimension is also there that you can go ahead with. Okay, so Roshan, will 6 hours be enough if you are doing graduation along with CSE preparation? So definitely you're not appearing for the exam immediately, right? So yes, to begin with 6 hours of preparation will be fine. And after the 6 hours, once you actually get into the preparation, stick to 8 hours. I mean, you'll realize it yourself. The day you are actually believing you're writing mains, I won't have to say that, you'll just understand this. Social classes, IGNU will be fine if you're reading it. So IGNU plus class notes. there was a very good book related to this middle classes. 80% of questions related to social classes in India comes from middle classes. Pawan Kumar Verma, a senior IS officer, he also wrote on Adi Shankaracharya. So, Pawan Kumar Verma. He wrote a book on middle classes in India. Not one book, rather two books. So, a gist of Pawan Kumar Verma's book, on middle classes in India, I have created that in your material. Okay. Then comes the systems of kinship in India. So, systems of kinship. Now, can you recall this social classes, caste system, social stratification? Can you see that? That was there in paper 1 also. Then you can see the systems of kinship. This is in paper 1 also we had kinship. Remember religion and society, that was there in paper 1 also. Social change, it was there in paper 1 also, right? So a lot of topics, politics and society, you will find that was there in paper 1 also, like I can just show it to you, see this. Politics and society, social movements. So you'll realize that the topic is in paper 1 as well as paper 2. So one thing which I do is after finishing with thinkers, when I start with these topics, I take them simultaneously. So suppose I'm taking politics and society of paper 1, I'll finish politics and society in paper 2 as well. So that is something which all of you would be realizing. Again, with respect to this area, when we are discussing about the systems of kinship, मैंने आपको बताया कि इसमें IGNOU का material अच्छा दिया हुआ है. So you can go ahead with IGNOU. Along with IGNOU, then we can class lecture and material too will be there. Okay. With respect to religion in India, again I can suggest IGNOU. This is good. A gist of it. So that's there. With respect to social changes in India, visions of social change, when we are talking about it, now here comes a lot of updates. Not just theory, but updates. Here I'll tell you, just rely on my booklets, handouts, and updates which I share with you. So booklets plus handouts plus updates. That will be more than enough for this section C. Because section C is the most dynamic part of sociology. You can see that. Like ideas of development, planning and mixed economy. Isn't it related to GS? Constitution, law, social change. Education and social change. Programs of rural development, cooperatives, poverty alleviation schemes, green revolution. You can see that, right? Rural labor, bondage, all these topics. You can just see that. Industrialization and urbanization. So the moment we are talking about slums, informal sector, child labor, working class, you need all these topics to be updated. Simultaneously, when we are talking about politics and society, so ideas of citizenship, if CAA, NRC debate is going on, you need to update it for sociology as well, right? If there are, there is a regimentation in politics and we all can see that there is a constant change which is going on with respect to this given area of, let's say, democracy, whereby democracy is becoming more regimented and it is more associated with majoritarianism, then how to make democracy inclusive, healthy and diversity oriented, you need to reflect upon a lot of articles which academicians and think tanks regularly write in newspaper articles. Like just a month back, Shashi Tharoor had written an article associated with democracy, syncretism and diversity. So you can just read that article. I keep sharing all that in the the closed group of Telegram. This year I'll try to be more active in the open group also. With the GS lecture and the optional batch, sometimes I become very, I won't say lazy, but I become tired. That would be a better word. I become very tired to remember to keep posting it in the open group also. But I should do that for everyone. So that's there. But definitely the connectivity is discussed in the class so you get more clarity. Political parties, you can see pressure groups, regionalism, decentralization of power, secularization, and you must be able to connect a lot of topics with GS, isn't it? So polity, history, post-independence history, you can see it unfolding before all of you. Social movements in India. There is a book, Ghanshyam Shah's book. I'll provide a soft copy of the book also to all of you. So Ghanshyam Shah, his book deals with majority of the types of social movements. But other than Ghanshyam Shah, there is this political science MA booklet. There is an MA booklet related to social movements. I will always recommend that. It's very well written with all the relevant quotations coming from thinkers. Okay. And along with that, plus it needs updates from current affairs. Why? In the past, UPSC has asked about hashtag #MeToo movement. Just 3 years back. Hashtag #MeToo movement was asked in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, which was the exam was conducted in 20 because of COVID. And then there was this transgenders, the issue of transgenders was raised under this component. So ethnicity and identity movements. So there it comes up. Again, population dynamics, you can see this is related to current affairs. Challenges of social transformation, the last topic which is associated with crisis of development, displacement, environmental problems, sustainability, poverty, deprivation, inequality, violence against women, caste conflict, ethnic conflict, communalism, religious revivalism, illiteracy, disparities of education. It needs big time updation. Okay. So this is your component associated with the dimension of the C section. So C section of paper 2 is something which all of you can connect with. All right. So I hope all of you are understanding this bit in terms of what the syllabus is all about. Okay. And how to update it from different sources. The benefits of this course, first thing which I've already said, I am not going to provide you a lot of dictation, but there will be no compromise with content. 5 views of lecture will be provided to all the online students. Those who are offline, I have heard that with respect to the possibility of viewing the recorded session, it is in the situation of crisis, whereby if you are missing out because of some personal life crisis, you can go ahead with it. Okay, but 5 views will be provided. Time-bound completion of syllabus is something which you can be rest assured about. The Telegram group for regular, discussions, personal queries is something which you can always reach out to me. You can always drop a text, ma'am, I wish to talk to you. And anytime when I'm free, I'll give you a call and we can have one-on-one chat related to any issue on which you are stuck up with, whether it is related to your preparation or any personal life issue. Because I understand there are times in the process of preparation that students, they sometimes feel that there are a lot of concerns which, if not addressed, they won't be able to pull it further or study better or focus better. So in that situation, I can probably share that you can trust me. There are students who have come up with a lot of personal life details and they feel relieved when someone is not judging them and yet giving them the right insight how to go about with it in life and proceed further, not get stuck up with situations. Handouts, yes, you will be provided with that. Regular tests, to begin with, there will be a test per month. Once the syllabus is completed, the entire syllabus, 2 tests will be conducted. Reference books, yes, that is provided. So this is something which I have created for all of you in the basic go in terms of what can be created. If you go with seniors, like in the market, see, everyone has their own strength and weakness. And I'm not saying that what I'll be creating will be picture perfect. The benefit of having senior academicians in the loop is that academicians bring in a lot of academic wisdom and years of experience. What probably they miss out is sometimes the sociology paper 2 and even in paper 1, some immediate reflection, which can be connected with GS. Because I have been teaching the component of GS also for past 14 years, along with essay and ethics. So I can give you a lot of reflection the moment a topic is getting connected with any of the topic of GS. I can immediately connect it with GS and give you the insight. See, you studied this in GS or you would be studying this in GS. So bring in that wisdom and connect it here. Update this from this given area. That's the benefit which you will get by doing this course, whereby you are not only getting the insight related to what is being taught in the class related to sociology, but also a critical reflection related to the other areas. So this is an overview which I could create for all of you related to how I'm going ahead with this dimension. So if there are any further questions, feel free to ask. So my Telegram ID for the open session, the Telegram ID is, this is the name which my father has given, SWETA, and with that I have just added the word sociology. You will find me in a blue sari in that's the DP in the Telegram channel. You can follow that channel. This is an open channel. It's an open platform. On and off I keep updating, though in the future I'll be updating it more frequently for sure. Okay, so if there are any questions which any one of you has, any personal query related to the course, related to the approach, curriculum, content, anything which is bothersome for you still and you feel it is yet not addressed, feel free to ask. Though I try to make the session as exhaustive as possible, covering all important areas. Yes. Any questions? Okay, at present what you need to start reading. So you can just purchase Harlambus and Holborn, okay, and you can just start reading sociological perspectives, or rather, other than the sociological perspectives, just read the initial key terms. There are some key terms given in the initial chapter. Just read it, just go through it. One quick reading, that's it, to develop a basic first-hand understanding of it. If you enjoy reading IGNOU, if you don't get, NCERT, if you don't get bogged down by NCERT, then you can read standard 11th NCERT, which is related to sociology, understanding sociology. So there are 2 NCERTs in standard 11th and 2 in standard 12th. Definitely the examiner is not going to ask you questions from 11th, 12th level. So you don't need to even underline the book. Just read it and keep it, so that you become familiar with words, names, thinkers. All right. So for that, Bhanu, you can find out. Okay, I'll share the link with you. I have your mail ID. Anyone who has to reach out, this is my mail ID: shweta.satya.singh. ऐसे मेरा दोनों है इसमें, मतलब SW and SHW दोनों के साथ मिल जाए. I had to create 2 for the simple reason that in one my data got saturated, the drive got saturated, because I have a lot of soft copy material, no? So the drive got loaded, it was like 90% loaded, now you have to buy free space. So my name was as such that I could remove the H and I could add the H, and I could have 2 mail IDs. So whether you are mailing me at shweta or sweta.satya.singh, it will reach to me, either of it. Okay, it's the simple reason was to have more drive space. So you can just mail to me if there is any other concern, then I'll be addressing your concerns accordingly. Yes, any other question? So I've explained you just a brief overview, and still if you, maybe you can see the slide and you can remember. So I started with the relevance of sociology in wholesome preparation with respect to GS, essay and interview. Then I discussed that how it is relevant in terms of consistently helping you to get selected. Whereby in India there are more than 30 optional subjects, and it is hijacking almost 10% of the space. Means out of 10 students, every one is like from sociology background on an average. Okay, so that's something which all of you can see that. I shared that it is very scoring, getting 300 plus is possible. But only optional is not the savior. Along with optional, you should pay attention to essay, interview and the GS paper 4 component, because there you can score quite well. How to score 280 to 330 marks? Be very organized, very well planned, from notes making to what you should refer. I have discussed the reference list, from which source, which chapter can be referred, how to update the content and Q&A. Okay, so that is something which all of you can connect. Okay. So that's something there. Bhanu, you've got this link to join. So you can just have a reference associated with that as well. So then I discussed the syllabus, a brief overview of the syllabus, what should be read from which area, giving you an introduction to which topics are there, just a familiarity with the terms, not the details, but just the terms, how paper 1 is connected to paper 2, from family marriage kinship to caste system to politics and society to religion. All these, and social change, all these are connected to paper 2 as well. And other than all of it, you need to understand some Indian sociologists, the way you know Karl Marx and Durkheim and Weber and all these thinkers. So you have Gure, Srinivas, Desai, Yogendra Singh, and the moment I say social background of Indian nationalism, it is A.R. Desai again. So we can connect it with Desai's concept, because his research paper was based on this. So anyway, so along with that, there are some Indian perspectives which you need to understand that can be connected with not just thinkers, but current perspectives also, that how it is unfolding for all of us. So tribal, social classes, and the moment you see the syllabus, you're like, okay, it is connected to GS as well. It will build my basics for GS. In GS, I'll just have to brush up and more than enough. So you can see that. So this is what it is all about. So and other than that, last bit I shared that what extra support we are providing to all of you. Okay. So anything else? Feel free to ask. All good? For daily practice? That I get it, but this is not a class of comprehension. For English comprehension, whatever you read, read it with reflection. What are the key terms? What are the dimensions? What is the purpose? What is the language that is used? There was a question which was asked, by UPSC, that was in sociology, related to modernity. So in the syllabus, when we speak of modernity, all of you will be coming across this specific dimension. Maybe, yes, I should share that with all of you, because you people are now dealing with sociology, so that's essential. So, wait up. Meanwhile, if someone else is processing some question, it's better you ask. So, not 2020, I want the 21 question, which was... Okay. So in this, there was this specific question which UPSC had come up with, which was related to the dimension of modernity. I'm just noting it down and all of you can just have a look associated with it. So the question was, do you think, Europe was the first. I'm just noting it down so that you can connect with it. So Europe was the first and the only, place, the first and the only place where modernity emerged. And after writing this, UPSC gives comment. Comment means your personal views. So whenever you are dealing with the area of comprehension, it's not about reading an unseen passage. Reading everything with due reflection. One is comment. It's not define, describe, elucidate. So paying attention to what is the demand of the examiner. Second, it was the first and only place. Can this be debated? That it was not the first and the only place where modernity emerged. So what is the idea of modernity? And has it emerged elsewhere also? So the moment you understand the idea of modernity, that modernity is with rational scientific temperament, critical analysis, not believing things on face value, rather questioning it. Modernity is when you try to rationalize things, when you believe in broader human values, when you believe in implementing those principles based on humanity with respect to the larger concern. So in this, the moment I speak of the term modernity, then you realize that, when Arthashastra was written by Kautilya, or rather Chanakya, he was talking about scientific systematic principles of governance, and he was trying to find a solution of governance for the society. When we see Socrates contesting and protesting and encouraging individuals to ask right questions, when anyone used to ask questions to Socrates, Socrates used to respond not by giving answers, but responding through a question. So asking question to a question, that's how he encouraged people to move to the answer themselves. So was his approach not modern, based on critical approach, scientific approach, right? Similarly, if we think of Ibn Battuta, in Middle East, so different civilizations, different cultures, they have had their own experiences related to developing scientific critical temperament, developing a systematic methodology of studying the society or various domains associated with society, whether governance, administration, the economic sphere, so different domains of life. When it comes to implementing the broader human values, Indian society since ancient times has practiced Sarva Dharma Sambhava, which is I would say the key principle of maintaining humanity, isn't it? Sarva Dharma Sambhava, treating everyone as equal despite of their dharma being different. Dharma means here moral code of conduct. So people may be engaged with different types of, like, let's say, orientations, but people can be associated with the possibility of respecting each other as equals. So aren't those ideas associated with the idea of modernity? Getting it? So UPSC actually wanted you to comment on the idea that though the the contemporary experiences of modernity, the unfolding of modern patterns of political system, economic system, or the social order, or the experimentations of democracy are a byproduct of the European society, but various experimentations of modernity have occurred in different civilizations across the world, hence concluding that Europe is the first and only place is a faulty, biased perspective. Getting it? So you can arrive at an answer very well when you are able to comprehend the essence of it. So whatever you read, comprehend it thoroughly. All right? Any other question that you want to ask? All good? All good? Okay, so anything else? What is meant by sociological perspectives? Okay. Sociological perspectives, in simplified language, I can say that few of you may be like observing the reality in different ways. Some might be very hopeful that India is going to head towards a brilliant future. Some will be like giving reasons. These are the reasons. Some will be feeling India is going to head to conflicting possibilities. Overpopulation. There is so much of friction, dearth of resources. Resources are shrinking. So for the same India, different people are having different perspectives that what is going to unfold. In the similar manner, to study society, different set of thinkers can have different approaches. How we can study society. So one group of thinker will be like, no, everything should be critically analyzed and we should try to find how conflict can occur, how fights can occur, how frictions can occur. The another set of thinkers will be like, no. We should study society, how order is maintained, how cooperation is maintained, how integration is maintained. Majority of the times the society is able to live, survive and sustain because order is maintained majority of the times. Cooperation is maintained majority of the times. So these differences in approaches creates different sociological perspectives. So one will be a conflict perspective, one will be a functionalist perspective, okay. Also the way people conduct their research, that also leads to difference in perspectives. I hope that's making like a brief understanding in a very simplified manner that how sociological perspectives are existing. But anyway, sociological perspectives are 3 lectures. So expecting that I'll explain it within 5 minutes will be tough, Bhanu. So let us go patient. Let us wait for those lectures to come and let me explain those topics with greater detail, with more simplified examples, and then you'll be able to understand that how people witness the same reality from different angles, sides and perspectives to build a wholesome clarity of what is being experienced and how it is experienced. All right. So this is it. All right. So any other question? All good? Yes, please. Oh, it can devastate an answer. The subjective bias comes when a student has not studied properly and scientifically, because thinkers will give you multiple perspectives. But a balanced perspective is something which is developed in the class by any person who is very well read, who is read from different perspectives. The person understands that what is pro-humanity, what is pro-civilization, what is pro-constitution. So anything which is not in consonance with the 3 components, it will be biased, it will be giving a community advantage over the other or considering a community better than the other, and that is something which will create friction in the future. So it's not about the answer, it is more about the personality. So the examiner gains an insight that it's not the answer that is problematic, the student will be biased. The student may be loaded with certain prejudices, and thus the examiner will not only mark you for that answer, but will remember that to find such reflections in other answers as well. So it's like opening the Pandora's box the moment you go biased in any of the opinions. So being politically neutral and being pro-constitution, remembering the preamble, we the people, and social, economic and political justice, the core essence, and reflecting that in the answer is something which is essential, right? The object. Okay, so that is something which any student who gets into the preparation of sociology tends to learn it from this specific chapter. Can you see this? Sociology and common sense. Yeah. So this specific dimension, sociology and common sense, this is in chapter 1 only. So the chapter starts with this. How to help you do away with your biases, because common sense brings in bias. So how to do away with biases is taught exhaustively under this topic. When I'll be discussing this, you'll get this idea. How to free yourself, distance yourself from the biases. And that's definitely on the basis of a lot of approaches, methodologies, and techniques. So I'll substantiate that little later when I'm taking the topic. Okay, because speaking it out within 2 minutes will be a tedious task, I must say. And if I speak, it will be loaded with technical words, which will be hard for you to comprehend without any background. So let us be patient and start off with this. Yes. Anything else? Yes. Either you're too satisfied or you're too tired. So, done? Fine? Okay. Yes. For the first chapter, so that's what I said. In TB Pottermore, there is this component given, sociology and common sense. So you can, I think you can find a soft copy of the book. Okay. So let me work on the digital library thing and upload the soft copies. And from there also you can find out. IGNOU is also one-stop solution for majority of the topics, just like Harlem-Bus. Okay. So you can get an idea associated with this. You know, sociology and common sense strikes in every domain. If you see, when you're reading, like let's say religion and society, don't you think biases come in? Don't you think that when we are talking about topics like politics and society, biases come in? When we are dealing with a topic like systems of kinship and tradition versus modernity, biases do come in, right? So biases is something which gets addressed chapter after chapter majorly for a sociology student, and that's why I said that the moment you cover up the component and you finish the component, you are very well professed as a human being who is not just bias free but also is capable to decide better for himself and society or herself and society. All right? Okay, ma'am, when someone says think sociologically, what is meant by sociologically? It means don't think with common sense, think from a scientific perspective which is based on a critical study made either by a sociologist or any research team. Means speak on the basis of either empirical data or research and analysis done by someone else. So develop the insights, and on the basis of a theoretical backing, you have to speak. You don't have to speak like a layman. That is what thinks sociologically or talk sociologically is being spoken. All right. So this is it. I can see that's it. All of you. All right. So hope to see all of you again on 11th. Prior to that, I'll get the data of the students who have taken admission from the management by 30th or so of this month. And then I will create the group and I'll start adding the students in the Telegram channel, which will be a closed group, and I'll start the interaction most probably by 1st or so. So a basic interaction of what should be read, certain basic let's say videos that you can watch, and certain things which you can start reading, all that shall be shared in the group. All right. So we'll start with some basic introduction, knowing each other, some reading from there itself, so that before 11th we have some comprehensive level of approach development as well as introduced to each other if someone is interested to talk over there. All right, so nice meeting all of you. God bless you and stay connected. Take care. Bye.